it's really not for everyone though. Like I would never tell people to do what I did and drop out of college and move in the gym and try to be a full-time jiu-jitsu athlete because on paper that is fucking stupid. Like I understand that I was gambling with the rest of my life to do that.
I'm Justin Lesko, a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu brown belt and former pro MMA fighter.
And I'm Mike Callahan, a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu brown belt and a law enforcement officer.
In case you can't tell by his voice, I'll let you know now that Mike is very, very, very excited for our guest today.
Now, I'm not sure excited covers it, but.
Well, today we're talking to a Pedigo submission fighting black belt, 5-time IBJJF World's gold medalist, and a 7-time IBJJF Pan American gold medalist.
He's the subject of the Flow Grappling documentary Daisy Fresh, an American Jiu-Jitsu story, and his instructional buzzsaw passing is now available on BJJ Fanatics. Please welcome to the show, Andrew Wiltse.
Hey, Andrew, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me guys now?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
That my fault.
What's up, man?
Not too much. I'm actually I've got 2 puppies running around this room right now. So perfect.
You're down in Nashville doing seminars?
So we have an affiliate down in Nashville called Triangle Academy, and my friend Clay Mayfield runs it. Me and my little brother come down here like once every month and a half, 2 months for like a week or two and teach the classes and help them out and get them in good shape.
How long does it take you guys to get down there?
Oh, it's pretty close. It's like 3.5 hours.
That's
so not super far.
Do you get to sleep inside when you're there, or do they have a shed set up for you out back?
No, he's got a fancy gym. Our gym is actually the worst of all the Pedigo affiliates. Like the Daisy Fresh building is by far the worst. He's got a fancy gym. He's got a giant room here. It's actually pretty good for having a 9-week-old puppy in, actually.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. You know, we've been wanting to talk to you for a while. You know, we've been big fans of the whole documentary and everything. And then it seemed like good timing after your match on Saturday that we would try to reach out and get you on. So we appreciate you coming on and hanging out.
Oh, I'm excited, man. Yeah, the timing's always great for me.
We usually when people come on, you know, the first thing we ask is just in case anyone's not familiar with your background, just how did you get into jiu-jitsu and what really brought you to the sport?
Okay, so I got into judo when I was 13. I just moved to Drummond Island, Michigan from Topanga Canyon, California, which Topanga Canyon is located literally right above Los Angeles, so it's like a big area. Drummond Island is 1 mile from Canada, so it's not so big an area. And a lot of the kids there, it was a very rural, kind of like a culture shock for me and my little brother. We had some problems with some of the kids for specific reasons, and we kind of started getting a little fights in a little bit. We had a lot of anger, and I started doing judo, and I kept doing judo on and off because my judo instructor ended up getting hurt a lot. He hurt his neck in a motorcycle accident, and he just had trouble kind of keeping the class going. There wasn't a lot of interest from the other kids in the island, and I did that until I was 18. And when I was 18, I went to college for a year. I took a semester off, and then when I turned 20, I ended up dropping out of college and moving down to Mount Vernon, Illinois, to move into the Pedigo Submission Fighting Gym. So then I've been living in the gym since I was 20. I'm now 28, so about 8 years.
How did you link up with Heath Pedigo?
Yeah, so when I was in Michigan, we were in such a isolated area that me and my judo instructor were kind of like it for grappling in the Upper Peninsula area where we're at. Okay, so like I knew how to do an armbar from judo. I knew how to do a triangle choke. I knew how to do a rear naked choke. I didn't have very good technique. I didn't know any setups for anything per se, but so like really rudimentary jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And there were these guys down in it's called Sault Ste. Marie. Okay, they were a boxing club that were getting ready to do some MMA fights, and they asked me and my coach to come down and help their guys kind of learn some of the grappling stuff. And we came down. We were it was just me and my coach, and I remember I was like rolling with the boxing guys who were all like, I was like 17 and they were like 20, 21, 22, and I kept tapping them out and being like, look, when you're in closed guard, don't try to just stick one arm between their legs while you're on your knees, you know, like really simple stuff, because that was like all I knew. And there were these 2 guys on the mats. One of them was his name was Wiltse. He was this big, giant, strong ass motherfucker. And then there was Heath Pedigo at the time. Heath Pedigo was the guy that was putting on the MMA fights. And I remember my coach talked to him for like 5 minutes, and he told me, Andrew, you need to roll with this guy. And then I rolled with him. And at the time, I was like considered myself pretty good at grappling because I just didn't know better. I was like this little guppy in the tiny pond, and I didn't realize there were sharks in the ocean. And he just tapped me out like at will. Because like, I'm gonna triangle you now. And I'm like, motherfucker, no way. And then he triangled me, and I'm like, God, fuck me. I'm apparently not very good. And he was really nice about it. He's like, yeah, man, you did great. And I'm like, you just tapped me 20 times. I didn't do fucking great. I'm like, my feelings were hurt. It was my first actual introduction to a real jiu-jitsu player who could just do technique to me because he had setups and pressure and like all this stuff that I was missing. So if you fast forward like a year and a half, almost 2 years, I'm going to college, and I stayed really good friends with the guy who kind of like ran the boxing gym. His name was Rob McRory, and like I would teach him how to do judo throws, and he would teach me how to box. And he stayed really good friends with Heath Pedigo, and Heath Pedigo got a hold of him when I was getting ready to do finish my second semester of college, and he said, "Ask Andrew if he wants to move down and like fight full time." And I didn't realize professional jiu-jitsu was a thing. So I was like getting ready to do MMA. And like I did one MMA fight already. And I was like, I won the fight, but it wasn't pretty. I have the video now and it makes me cringe looking back. And I was like, yeah, man, let me talk to him. And I talked to Heath on the phone for a little bit, and he kind of persuaded me to move down to Mount Vernon. He kind of like gave me the sales pitch of just give me 1 year. And if after a year you're not successful, or you just find out you don't like it anymore, then you can move on with your life. And I was like, all right. I was going to college just to kind of find people to train with. So then I was, I felt like I was spinning my wheels. So I ended up moving down. They told me there was going to be a house, like a fight house. And then I showed up, and no one actually thought I was going to show up. I remember I got there right as class was ending, and everyone just kind of looked at me with those big eyes like, oh, fuck, he's actually here, guys. What do we do? And I just slept on the mats. There was like a train that would go by the building all the time, would shake the building, wake me up. The gym at the time was part of a chip factory. It was like this little garage attached to a chip factory. So I could like the chip guys would be like shaking the building and swearing and throwing shit at the walls. It'd wake me up like 2 a.m. every single night. It was the best time of my life. I was so happy. I was like just reading the Marcelo Garcia's X-Guard book. I had Saulo Ribeiro's University of Jiu-Jitsu. I'd read that book between classes, and I was pretty ecstatic. I don't regret moving in the gym still.
Were you the only one who was actually living in the gym at first? Are you the trailblazer?
Yeah, it was just me. I think Heath had lived in the gym for a little bit before me, and then I've had tons and tons and tons of people come and go. Like for about 2 weeks, there was a guy named Miguel living in the gym. He's actually a white belt world champion under us. He quit training, and after about a month living in the gym, I convinced Bird to move down into the gym for the summer because he was going into his senior year of high school. So he had summer break. And I'm like, dude, come down, man. You're going to love these people. They're actually like intellectuals. Me and my little brother just didn't really get along with the kids in Michigan because all they wanted to do was hunt and fish and do drugs and crash cars, which is not really me and Bird's.
It doesn't seem like a good style. Yeah.
It just didn't really fit us. You know what I mean? So like we get along with everyone's personality, but down here I was like, dude, these guys are amazing. They were these doctors that were training at the gym, and I was getting actual life advice from people. Like I was getting mentally coached from people that were as smart as I thought I was, which, and I don't think I'm super smart, but I do enjoy intellectual type things. I like to read all the time, and I like to learn. And if you like to learn, and where I was from in Michigan, you're a fucking nerd who should get his ass kicked, is the idea, So I got Bird to come down under true pretenses, but also false pretenses, because I told him that he's gonna meet some girls. Which, to be fair, I was 20. I was meeting girls. I was having a fucking awesome time. It was the best summer of my life. And then when Bird moved down, Brandon Karcher, our teammate who still trains with us, he'd been like bringing me to these parties because he's the same age as me. He's 20, and he's got a brother that's the same age as Bird. So when I was 20, Bird might have been 16 or 17. And when Bird finally got down here, Brandon stopped going to the parties and stopped inviting the people out. Like the day Bird got down, Brandon said, you know what, I need to like reevaluate my life decisions. I think I'm done doing the party stuff. And then Bird was like, did you just lie to me and get me to come down here?
I just lost my source. That's it. I just lost the source. It wasn't a lie.
But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And then Bird went back up after the end of the summer. He was here for 3 months, and he told our dad, and he told our principal of the school system in Michigan. He's like, dude, I really like it down there. I think I want to go down there and live there. And our principal and our dad worked out a deal where Bird could finish his high school like senior year online, not like a GED, but he got to do it through the school system. So they actually gave him a little laptop and they gave him a little internet device. And he did his senior year of college or high school living in the gym. Then he went back up and got his diploma and then came back down. He's been down here ever since.
Wow. That's cool they let them do that. I'm surprised that they would like
Yeah.
agree to that.
The principal of the school system up there is very, very nice. Her name's Angela Reed. She did a lot for like my little brother with that, but then also our sister, she helped her a lot. And my sister is kind of like she was like a gangbanger in LA, and she had a lot of problems because she's the reason we got in a lot of fights, and it wasn't her fault. Our sister's black, and most of the kids hadn't even seen a black person before we moved there, and she just had lots of social problems. And if it wasn't for the principal being as like willing to work with us as she was, our sister wouldn't have graduated high school essentially. So she's a fantastic human being.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. Well, you mentioned people kind of coming in and kind of going. Do you think that was because, now this is just for me watching the documentary, but you guys kill each other every training session and it wasn't for them going that hard, or was it just not wanting to live on a gym on the mats?
People come and go for different reasons. We've had people that they just want to come spend a couple months and get the experience, and that's fine. We've also had guys that are like, they came and then they just, they realized they've actually got to train like that every day, and that's just too much for their body. And then they kind of like learn, if I want to be a professional athlete, I have to do this every day. And that I don't really want to do that anymore. I like jujitsu, but casually, which is also fine. We've had guys leave because we had one guy whose whole family died when he moved into the gym, and that was unfortunate for him. He just too much emotional stress, and he ended up moving out of the gym. There's a lot of people that come and go, man, and there's never any hard feelings with people. This lifestyle that I live is not for everyone, and I'm completely aware that not everyone's insane like some of us maybe potentially be, and they don't want to do what we do, and
That's a relative term. Yeah.
It's relative. It's really not for everyone though. Like I would never tell people to do what I did and drop out of college and move in the gym and try to be a full-time jiu-jitsu athlete, because on paper that is fucking stupid. Like I understand that I was gambling with the rest of my life to do that, which I was 20. If I lived in the gym for 2 years and it didn't work, I'd have been 22. I could have gone back to school, or I could have like found something else to do with my life, and that would have been fine. I was willing to at least accept the risk of that with full awareness of what I was doing. But I definitely don't advise people to do what I do. I think people see the documentary and they get confused and they think that's what we're trying to like tell people to do. Yeah, drop out of school, move in the gym.
Right.
That's probably not for you. Like the people who it's for are the people that just don't have other things going on. Or we get a lot of people that they're like, some people like with their wives, they got divorced, they lost their house, they don't have anything going for them, and they just need somewhere to stay. And we're like, if they train, they want to come stay in the gym for a year, and they want to see if this is for them. And that's, again, people that come and move in the gym and then leave. It's absolutely fine. It's not for everyone. If you have, sometimes you have to try it to know if it's for you or not.
The one thing that I remember, well, first of all, how many people are living in the gym right now? How many guys do you got in there right now?
So me and Bird never leave.
Right.
Okay, I can't leave. If I moved out of the gym, I'd go crazy, and I wouldn't do very well. I need to live in the gym. And Bird, he kind of just does what I do, I guess. Like he's like the reluctant world champion. He kind of like follows my lead a little bit. He likes living in the gym, but he's kind of built like I am. We like to be more isolated a little bit. We're not meant to be around people all the time. That's why I ended up building a box. We're just we're social. Like anyone that knows us, we're friendly as fuck. Like my whole strategy in life is to be aggressively friendly to people. Okay, like but we're just introverts. So me and Bert are always at the gym. Okay. Right now there's a guy named Jordan living in the gym. There's little Jacob bounces in and out of the gym. And then we've got guys bouncing in and out. The Murdoch brothers come down and they bring like 5 people with them. And then a lot of people come and stay, especially since the documentary got to like episode 5 and people realize we're legit. You can come train with us for however long you want, for anytime you want. People stop by for like the weekend all the time. They don't even tell us they're coming. I think 3 weeks ago, we had a group of 6 people show up on a Friday. Different people.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Not the same group.
Like 6 individuals.
They're like, yeah, like 6 different individual people just showed up to stay, and they didn't really do a good job getting a hold of like me or Heath or all 100 to see what was going on that weekend. And all of the PSF guys were doing a tournament on Saturday, so like no one was at the gym training on Friday. They showed up, and I felt so bad, like because none of the A guys were there to train with them. And then they wanted to stay for the whole weekend, which they were able to stay for the weekend. But anyone that wants to come stop by, I do advise kind of like messaging someone first to make sure we're going to be there, because we do travel and compete a lot. And if no one's there, we're going to feel bad, because we know you're trying to get the experience of rolling with the guys, and we want to make that happen.
Have you guys noticed? So the last I watched the clip that you guys posted about the guy just getting his black belt the other day.
Jesse,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. He's a fucking scary individual.
When he got promoted, it looked like there were so many fucking people on those mats. Like, it just looks like has the attendance at the school like grown dramatically since this documentary? No,
0%. But the thing is, people don't realize that our school is a smaller school. Okay, we're not like Carlson Gracie HQ in Chicago where we have 300 students signed up. We just have diehard people signed up. The room it's like a pressure cooking environment where the people that aren't interested in it just don't stay. And like I said, like I'm very open about the fact that our gym's not really for everyone. You know what I mean? Like, we have a certain intensity to our roles. No one's trying to hurt anyone, but we are going hard because the guys all want to win in competition. And it's really hard to be successful in competition when you don't train yourself for that kind of environment ahead of time. So people come and go all the time, and they're hard roles. Okay. But the people that stay are the people that end up they either have that inner toughness or they're looking for that inner toughness already. Like, we've got some guys that you would just look at them when they first showed up and you would just never think they'd be any good. And then 2 years later, they're kind of like beating people up, because they were just the guys that had unfortunate things in life and they were looking for something. Okay. When Jesse got his black belt, I think we had almost 100 people in that room. I don't know how many of them got COVID afterwards. But that was actually our record for the most people in that room, which it was really cool. Jesse's been a big part. Jesse's been training at the gym for years before I even showed up at the gym. He used to fucking armbar me when I first showed up and just destroy me. It was horrible. And just our numbers are big. Our class numbers are pretty big. Like, we have 35 to 40 people for every single night class. But again, it's just because it's our people are really, they want to be there. They know what they're doing and they want to be in that environment.
Yeah, the one thing that I forget what episode it was on. And I'll just to give you a little background. I've been on this Daisy Fresh train since it first came out. I got Justin here on it too, but like, I've been that Michael Sears and Flo those guys did a fucking phenomenal job. Like, I think that they did a great job with the whole documentary. But the one thing that like really got my attention was how, I guess it was Heath was talking about how, listen, we don't drill necessarily technique in these classes. Like, the gym's open all day. Like, if they want to come and drill to get, but like, they know when they come to class, it's game on. Like, we're going balls to the wall, essentially. Is that really how it is there?
So the way I look at jiu-jitsu, you shouldn't be drilling during class time, essentially. Like if you're going to a technique class, you should be using that time to learn the technique, and you should be using that time to get proficient enough at the technique that you can then go and work on it on your own. Like, I'm a big advocate of drilling a lot. We have our night classes are hard competition classes. They're like, we have a 6:15 to 7. Heath shows some technique. 7 to 8:30. Everyone's going fucking hard, and that's not the time to like try to get not necessarily not try to get better at stuff, but I have this thing where I don't think you really get better just by rolling. Like, you get tougher and you get a little bit better shape and you get stronger and you get more comfortable using your pressure, which is that all adds up to being better, but it's not as good as working on your technique on your own time. And we have our gym open. We do our like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday noon is when everyone shows up at the gym, and we're all working on our technique. We're drilling for 1 to 2 hours. And then like, that's when I do my conditioning and my stretching in the morning, and I do my cardio. And so like my morning sessions can be anywhere from like 2 to 4 hours. That's the time to get better at stuff. Like, you don't really get better at jiu-jitsu by rolling. When was the last time you were rolling live and you just got better at doing your arm bars from closed guard or doing some specific move in the gym? Jiu-jitsu broken down is really just doing individual moves with a lot of pressure and then being able to chain them together and stuff. You get better at that doing live, but you also get better at that faster by drilling them. We have a really, really hard wrestling practice run by some really high-level D1 guys that have started training with us on Tuesday and Thursday at noon. So like those are my least favorite days of the week. But
Hate wrestling day.
yeah,
Hate wrestling day.
well, some of the guys in our gym are like we with this guy Michael Pixley. He's actually the guy that they started who's number 1 for, because he was the number 2 wrestler in the country. And then they're like, well, I wonder if you can beat the number 1 guy. And they did the first who's number 1 for that. And that he's fucking God. I hate wrestling with that motherfucker. It's not fun. So like it's a pressure cooker environment, man. You either stay and get tough or you quit. And either way, if either way is okay with us. We're not in this to make money. Our gym's not about making money. Our gym fee is $50, and I think maybe a quarter of the people don't pay because they're just everyone's friends in the gym and everyone's friends with Heath. And if they can't afford to pay, we don't ever want that to be the reason you can't train.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome.
Well, the mentality and the way you guys train is obviously working for you. You know, Mike and I recorded our intro before you hopped on, and just the number of medals you alone have won at major tournaments, it speaks for itself. Does it kind of get a little boring when you're a 5, 6, 7-time world champion, or is every world championship just as special as the first one?
Oh, so okay, there's a couple of things to answer there. So like, do my roles in the gym get boring? No, I love beating people up, man. It's so much fun. I roll with all the white belt, white, blue, purple, brown belts. I don't care. We roll with everyone. There's no like hierarchy in our gym. So like, if a white belt comes up, he's like, Andrew, let's roll. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. I don't mind tapping you out 50 times in a row. So that just doesn't get old. It's so much fun. Winning tournaments doesn't get old either. I think I used to get a little more emotional about it. Like I don't know if anyone can pick this up from like the documentaries and stuff. I'm just not like the most over the top emotional guy. Like when I win the worlds, I'm just like, yeah, that was awesome. I don't suck at jiu-jitsu. And it kind of like validates my own self-confidence, because I struggle with a lot of confidence issues, and I struggle with a lot of like bipolar craziness. My craziness comes with like confidence goes up and down, man. Like 3 weeks after winning the worlds, I was like, in my head, I'm like, man, I fucking suck at jiu-jitsu. The only reason I won is because they sucked or they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And every single tournament, that's my internal struggles that I go through. But no, it doesn't get old. I love this fucking sport. It's so much fun. I love going to other gyms more than I like training at my gym, though. Training at my gym fucking sucks. It's so hard.
Yeah, you get a little break by going to a different school.
Yeah, it's like going on vacation. I've gone to like GF team in Toledo. I've gone to like really high level schools. I've gone to fucking what's his name, the super awesome Gracie Baja guy out in California. Orlando Sanchez's coach. Starts with an R. I know the name, I just can't think of it right now. The Homolo. I've gone to Homolo schools, and the guys there, I swear to God, it's like taking a vacation from my gym, just because everyone goes so hard at my gym. Yeah. And there's no respect. I get no respect at all.
No respect.
It's so hard. And I think the biggest thing is like no one at my gym accepts anything that they shouldn't. Even if like you can find more technical guys than some of the guys at the gym, at my gym. That's, you know, we're completely transparent about that. Like not all of our guys are the most technical guys yet, but our guys will not let you grab them. Our guys will be throwing your legs around. Our guys will be jumping around. They will be going after you like they're genuinely trying to win, and they're not accepting any bullshit. And that's harder to deal with than a technical guy for me. And I like to consider myself decently technical, and I would much rather go with a black belt that's technical than a fucking super athletic spazzy blue belt, because that's just harder to deal with.
Well, after the John Combs match, you know, you had mentioned how I think you had said something like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it was like, if I can beat that guy, I can beat anyone. Is that how you feel? Like just talking to you today, is that how you feel after every major tournament? Or was that sort of like a turning point with John Combs? Like, is that the normal mentality you have?
So this comes back to the fact that I'm diagnosed bipolar, and it's not just something we talk about. I am actually like, that's one of the biggest struggles I deal with for my competition stuff. My confidence goes sky high to super low so fast. Okay, so when I beat John Combs, and you know, he had and I thought I beat him pretty handily. Like I felt like I kind of controlled the match. I knew he couldn't pass me. I felt like I could sweep him anytime. I did sweep him. I did pass him. I did get on his back. And I'm like, okay, this guy's fought in the UFC like or the ADCC 3 times. If this is the bar, then I'm so much more technical than this guy that I should be able to at least win the trials easily, right? And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, man, okay, John Combs had an off day. Like, you know, it's something I deal with every single tournament. If I win a major, if you ever listen to my interviews like beforehand, I may sound like I'm not confident. I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna. We'll see how it goes. You know, this guy's really good. I might lose to this guy, and it can come off a certain way. And then afterwards, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm fucking awesome. That's the struggle. I get manic after I win a tournament. Um, and then I don't know what I'm going to say in interviews. And I'm not like a super arrogant guy, but like my brain state just alters so much that I can say I don't know what I'm going to say. So I'm always a little nervous doing interviews.
Well, you're doing pretty good in this one, I'd say.
You seem pretty comfortable. So you've been there since you were white belt. Like, is there any point during your career where you realized like where it sticks out to you that you made like a bigger jump, or like you looking back, you're like, that was the turning point for me?
Okay. So when I was a white belt, I had done small local tournaments. I had done IBJJF Chicago a couple times, and then the big tournament I got to win at white belt was I won the white belt Pan Americans in the gi, and there was a match in the finals where I was going against this Brazilian guy, and there were probably 50 Brazilians in the stands wearing the green shirts and doing the soccer chants and just going fucking crazy. And there was maybe 10 of us at the tournament for the PSF guys. Okay. And at the start of the match, our guys were just getting completely drowned out by the insanity coming from the Brazilian part of the stands. So then the match starts. I get up by 2 points. I sweep or take him down. I don't remember. And they get a little quieter. Our guys get a little louder. And then I pass his guard. Then I mount him. Then I get in his back. He gets me off his back. I repass his guard, remount him. So the match ends up being like 28-0. And the whole time the match is going, the Brazilians are getting quieter and quieter, and our guys are getting louder and louder. And after the match, I got up and I was like, first off, I was fucked up because 5 minutes is a long time for a white belt to go that hard.
Yeah,
so I was
yeah.
tired. But that was my first inclination that I could maybe kind of do this, you know, especially because as a white belt, when I was a white belt, Heath was a purple belt. We didn't have a black belt in my gym. There was no black belt teaching me technique. There was no black belt that had won the black belt worlds, showing me what pressure is supposed to feel like. We kind of figured it out as we went as a team. And Heath has been a fantastic resource of technique. And we've just studied so much film that our guys actually had the upper hand in a lot of matches technically because of the new stuff that's coming out. We're usually on top of that. But that was the first time I was like, okay, maybe I can really do this. And then when I was a blue belt, I had a really, really successful run at blue belt. I won the Pans at blue. I won the Worlds at blue. I won the no-gi Pans at blue, and then I won the Open. And I beat Matthias Luch 28-0 in the finals of the Open. And I didn't know who he was at the time. He was just another Brazilian dude I'm going against. And then I heard afterwards he's fucking incredible, and he's won everything since then, except for the times he's gone against me. And each time you win those matches like that, it kind of gives you a little more confidence for a little while. You're like, okay, I know I can beat these guys as long as I'm the one pushing the pace and I'm the one playing my game. And at the same time, they are so good that they could beat me. I could lose to those guys. It could have been like a coin flip, but I didn't ever want to let it come down to that. So in my head, I'm always like, I have to go harder. I have to beat these guys. I know they're training hard. I know they're, if they're from the favela in Brazil, they're training so hard that, if they lose, they don't get to eat food, which is kind of like the situation we were in. We were like the American favela. We were poor. We didn't, I had Bird do horrible shit so that we could afford to go to these tournaments when we were like white, blue, purple, and brown belts. Like we only in the last year have we had any money at all. So we're finally reaching that point in our career. We're starting to be a little more financially successful, whereas before we were just successful in our technique and our competition scene, but that didn't ever translate to actually making money. So there have been a lot of times in our career where you kind of doubt whether, what if I got hurt and I have nothing to show for winning the worlds 5 times,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's been a long journey to get to this point.
The jiu-jitsu skills can pay the bills a little bit after so long of just bringing home medals. Now you can bring home some cash too, hopefully.
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it extra weird having a documentary crew follow you around in your day-to-day life and always having a camera near you? What's that like?
So that's not so bad because the lady that does most of the filming, her name is Simone. Okay. And she is kind of just like one of the guys when she's walking around with the crew. Like our group is really inviting and accepting. I know we come off as intimidating by like people that don't know us because like some of the guys are loud and they okay, our group can be a little aggressive if you're on the wrong side of us, and I'm not going to say that we're not, because our my team would be the guys that we could get in a fist fight with all the Brazilians at the tournament, and none of us would back down. That's just kind of like how we are a little bit. We're nice guys, but she walks around with us. She jokes with the guys. She doesn't give a fuck. She's super cool. Michael Sears, I actually have been friends with since I was a white belt. I met Michael Sears at a tournament actually. I was a white belt and I had signed up for the blue belt division at a Bluegrass, Kentucky, and he was in the division. That's how I met Michael Sears. We had a good match. I won the match, and then me and him, we just became friends. And he invited me up to his gym a couple times, and we just kept talking, and then he ended up working for Flow, and it just kind of worked out really well for us. Michael Sears is a super cool dude, so we have really good chemistry with the Flow grappling team that we work with, and then like we're really friendly people, so like we get along with all the guys at Flow, and they're all super cool to us. We're super nice,
awesome.
Yeah, it's a good relationship to have when you have someone who's going to be walking around with you, filming the whole time, that they're comfortable with that.
Yeah, but like we can literally just bullshit around them. We don't have to like put on personas. We don't have to be those kind of guys that come off as fake. Like we can just be ourselves, which I like that. I like that we got to do a genuine glimpse into what our gym environment really is like. I don't like the when they try to come off as fake and act like they're a certain way, but then really they're not. Like the way the documentary is, that's kind of really how our gym is. Like it's rough, it's rowdy. It's kind of like a frat house sometimes, depending on who's in the gym. Me and Bert are usually really reserved because we're introverts and we don't like people. We do like people, but like we like to be alone, But it can get pretty crazy. I saw the guys powdering each other's testicles at one time, and I looked over and I was like, "What in the fuck are you guys doing?" They're like, "What gets itchy?" And I'm like, "Just stop. Just okay." That's how it really happened.
Are people in there working like at all hours of the day and night? Like, will you find people drilling in there? Like I don't want to say it like 3 o'clock in the morning, but like, will there be like late night sessions going on in the gym?
So normally our night session is so hard that people don't, you kind of can't do anything after that because you're just completely fucked up. I'm not bragging, but I'm kind of like by far the better competitor in the gym, and I can kind of like beat up everyone in the gym a little bit. Like I have really, really hard rolls with Jacob Couch. He can leg lock me sometimes, and I have to try hard to beat him up. And George is a fucking horrible roll. I hate rolling with that motherfucker. And Bird can tap me out sometimes. He's like more dangerous, and Alejandro can out wrestle me. But we're so fucked. Like I'm so fucked up after we get done doing the night class. I kind of don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does happen. Sometimes we have visitors that show up at like 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning, and then they're there for the week. But then the first thing if someone asks me if I want to roll, I'm not gonna say no. I don't care what time it is. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
So like, Adam, the food thief that steals all my food, who I slapped in the mouth. When he showed up, it was 2 in the morning. It was just me and Bird in the gym at the time, and everyone forgot to tell us that he was coming, even though like Heath and Alejandro knew. Like me and Bird are always the last person to find out what's going on. Like they neglect to tell us certain things. So he shows up with a suitcase. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm here to stay." And we're like, "What? Okay." He's like, "You guys want to roll?" And I was like, "Fine, fuck it, whatever." It was like 3 in the morning or something like that. It was late. It was really late, but I was still awake because I was playing video games. And then we rolled for like an hour, and I was kind of annoyed because it was so late. So I just really beat the fuck out of him. And I'm like, surely he won't stay. And then he's been in the gym ever since.
On our episode where we did it earlier in the week where we were recapping the Who's Number One event, I'd said, "Oh, we're not gonna go through your match because you were gonna be on, so maybe you don't have to go second by second through the match." But the match you just had with PJ Barch, what was the plan going in? What did you take away from that match? What did you think of your performance?
So, okay. So there's definitely some things I can talk about there. So first off, I gave the worst pre-hype interview of all flow grappling history. If you didn't notice, that was like,
yeah, it wasn't that bad, man. You're selling yourself short. It wasn't that bad. I just watched it. Oh, stop.
It definitely came off like I didn't look like I wanted to be there. So what was going on is, like I was talking about me being bipolar. I was going into that match with really really low confidence. I was like dreading the match a little bit. When Michael Sears asked me if I wanted to do the fight, I was like in a weird mental space where I was like, I'm always kind of getting ready for competitions, but I didn't feel mentally ready for a competition. And I was like, yeah, I got a month to get in shape, and I spent the month getting in shape, but it just didn't actually alter my mental state. So I was going into there pretty low confidence. Then all of my everyone is telling me like he's an amazing wrestler. Like my wrestling is actually a lot better than I give it credit for. I take people down that are like D1 high level wrestlers all the time. I know they out wrestle me. Like they know so much more about wrestling and Greco than I do. But I've been doing judo since I was 13. I can hit throws, and I've got a really good like arm drag, fake arm drag, single leg. I can finish really good takedowns on people, and my wrestling style is really fast from the outside. So like I can take them down. But then they were like, dude, he's a fucking incredible wrestler. He's gonna be able to take you down easy. Or the thing about the good wrestlers, I'm not so much worried about them taking me down. I'm worried about me trying to go for a takedown that's not quite there, getting out pressured for a second to where my neck is exposed or a Kimura is exposed or something, and then getting put in a submission.
Right.
The other thing too is I do get tired when I'm wrestling. Like wrestling takes a lot more effort, especially my style is really like intense when I wrestle hard. Um, so 15 minutes had me nervous. I don't know if you guys have ever done like a 15-minute competition match, but I hadn't really done that before. I'd done some black belt stuff a little bit. That's 10 minutes, but most of my competition was like 7-minute purple belt, 8-minute brown belt. So 15 minutes is double that. And I was nervous. I didn't know how my cardio was going to hold up, or if I was going to like do a couple exchanges and then burn out completely and then just get completely fucking annihilated for the rest of the 14 minutes. You know what I mean? So I was a little worried about that. I was holding myself back a little bit. The other thing too is everyone said he's like, 10th planet. His leg locks are really good. He leg locks people's all the time. And I had spent time working on my leg lock game with Couch, but only so much, only like the really offensive parts. So like if I'm going for a leg lock on Couch and I don't get it, and he starts looking like he wants to leg lock me back, I was trying to learn him still. So I would bail on the position and just wrestle up on him. And you could see I was like, that's kind of like what my mode was against PJ. He's like, I would put him in like a attempted leg lock, and a lot of people told me I could have finished those if I had stuck with him, but I don't know where my comfort zone is when he starts to engage in the leg locks with me. So I would just be like, no, I could just try to wrestle up on you. But then I start to wrestle up, and he's a good enough wrestler. He would have pressure that I couldn't get any easy takedowns without really overcommitting or really committing hard. And I didn't want to the only way I could lose is if I just get tapped out by something stupid. So then I'd be like, okay, let's just sit back down. So that's not how I would tell someone to compete. I don't think I was competing at my best, not even close. I can do a lot better than that.
So he is, for anyone who doesn't know, PJ Barch is like, he's a big name. He's really good. So for anyone who's out there who's listening to this and listening to Andrew, this was a very impressive win over a very high quality opponent. Like it was an exciting match. And I remember watching you I guess it was your first fight to win against Isaiah Wright, and then the John Combs thing. And it's just really cool to see you improve. Like, and you can tell by just watching your performances and not really having any, we don't know each other, and, Justin and I don't know you, but just from the outside looking in and seeing the improvements and everything, and seeing how you're handling the step up in competitions to black belts and everything. It's really cool.
My game in the gym, it's like I talk about bus all the time. That's how I roll usually.
Right.
I'm just 100% from the fucking start until I get mount, and you can't get me off mount. So I'd like to do some competitions where I really get to display that to people. And there's videos online of me really doing that and destroying people. And I don't feel like I've gotten to showcase that in the last couple I did. So if there's any fans out there that are like, man, Andrew's really fucking boring to watch, I apologize. I know how those looked. I'll do better.
There's a clip. There's a short clip on Flow Grappling too, for anybody who needs to check it out. Right, where you were kind of explaining the buzzsaw passing. It was a little bit. It's abbreviated, I'm sure, of compared to the BJJ Fanatics thing, but it just gives a little insight into the mentality behind that whole buzzsaw passing system that you have there.
Yeah, there's a few times where I explain it online. There's some YouTube videos, and Bernard. I did a video with Bernard Faria. I feel like I got a really good explanation of how I like to think about jiu-jitsu on that. So if you guys are interested, you can check that out on YouTube. That's how I like to roll.
Well, you said you have more you want to show. Do you have things coming up that you can plan for and start training for, or is your schedule still?
Oh yeah, they just announced the fucking Nogi Pans again.
Right. That was just in November, wasn't it?
It was like November. So for I don't pay any attention to dates and times. So it was November, December. They just did the Nogi Pans. Okay.
Right.
And now it's May 15th is the Nogi Pans again.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, I'm gonna do it again. I might be able to win twice in 1 year at 2 different weights because I'm gonna do this one at middleweight.
Okay. What were you at? Were you medium heavy last time?
I was medium heavy, but I was like a medium heavy where I didn't have to cut.
Right.
Like I was like the weight class was 190 something ish, and I was
it's like 194 or something, right? Yeah.
186 or something like that. And I think middleweight it's like 175. So at middleweight, I'm like the destroyer. Like I get to fucking like the guys just aren't big enough and strong enough to slow my game down too much.
Right.
At medium heavy, they're all like giant freakazoids compared to me, and it's just not fun. And I can win at that weight class, but oh man, it's not fun. So right now, they just announced that last night, I think, and that's what I'm looking forward to right now. I'm working on my diet. I'm working on my wrestling. IBJJF is allowing heel hooks now, so like I'm gonna be spending a lot of time with the couch working on my leg locks. I actually think I might have an advantage over some of the IBJJF guys just because I have access to a really high level leg lock guy in couch.
Right.
So
how do you see that playing out with guys who have never rolled in a match live with the leg locks before? What kind of changes do you think we'll see?
Oh, those guys are just going to lose, honestly. So there's a couple.
I didn't want to say that. I'm glad you said it because I didn't want to say it.
The leg lock system, like going for heel hooks, is I think probably it's been demonstrated to be the most effective way of attacking an opponent. That's you pull guard on them. Okay, even if you're guard passing, it's easier to fall back on a 50-50 heel hook than it is to pass a good opponent's guard. So by far, I do think knowing the leg lock game really intricately is optimal. It's very effective. The IBJJF only guys, which historically I've kind of been, because like I've done most, I've won the worlds 5 times and the Pan 7 times, and that's like where most of my tournaments have been. I haven't done a lot of super fights that allowed heel hooks. I have some catch up to do. But I, the whole time I've been doing this, I've acknowledged, I need to learn the leg lock game. I'm not opposed to it. It's just like, it didn't really fit my style. I want to like sweep you and pass you and then do more traditional jiu-jitsu because I enjoy that. But the leg lock game is so detailed and nuanced that it's just so much fun to learn. I think the guys that don't take the time to learn it are going to lose, but I think the leg lock only guys are also going to lose. Okay. They're not going to be the guys that win because IBJJF has a point system.
Right.
And the heel hook system plays really strongly into sub only.
Right.
Okay, where those guys, they fall back on the heel hook. The guy comes up, nothing happens points wise, so they don't lose anything. They can just chase the sub only the whole time. A 10-minute format where there's sweeps and takedowns and passing points and stalling and advantages, I think those guys are going to lose. So I think the leg lock only guys that haven't bothered to round out their game positionally are going to have a rough time in the tournament. And I'm not talking about guys like Gordon Ryan. He's just so good at overall jiu-jitsu. I'm not talking about someone like the DDS guys that they're just good everywhere, but they specialize a little bit. I mean, the guys that really only focus on leg locks, they won't win, I don't think.
What's the talk with you and Ronaldo Junior again?
Oh man, that was me getting I like I said, I get manic after interviews, and so that they asked me before the fight. Well, I was really nervous. They're like, "How do you think Ronaldo's going to do with Craig?" And I wasn't trying to talk shit. I've beaten Ronaldo 3 times in a row. He beat me the first time we rolled in the gi. He armbarred me at the Royal, and then I went against him 1 month later at the Nationals, and I beat that one. I beat the fuck out of him. I beat him like 15-0, but I like got on his back. I slammed him. I was passing. I pounded past him, mounted him, got on his back again. Like it wasn't very close. Then I went against him at the Nogi Pans, and I beat the fuck out of him. Okay, really beat him up pretty bad. And then I went against him again at the Nogi Worlds, and I beat him, but I didn't beat the fuck out of him. It was like a decently close decision, but I was very much in control of the match. Okay, so if you're asking me how's he going to do with Craig Jones? I said he's gonna die. I don't think I could beat Craig Jones in a match right now. I think Craig Jones would probably beat me up. He's just been competing at black belt a lot longer against world class competitors longer. He's got a systematic leg attacks that are just so much more nuanced than I am with my leg attacks. I think Craig would beat me up pretty bad. How's Ronaldo going to do with him? Ronaldo's not very technical. Every time I've gone with him, I'm just like, dude, this guy's just a brute who does or does not do steroids. I mean, I think most of the Atos guys are kind of openly on steroids. That's just kind of, they are. And I'm like, that the athleticism is not going to carry you through the match against Craig. Craig is going to kill you. He's going to leg lock you the second you can't disengage. And it's actually exactly what happened. Like I called that match to a T, but so I felt bad actually after saying that. That was in my head. I'm like, man, I didn't mean. It sounded like I was calling Ronaldo out. It sounded like maybe I was talking shit. I was trying to give my honest assessment of the match, how I thought it was going to go. And then after I did my match, I was like in my head, I'm hyped up from the match, and I was actually trying to kind of apologize for accidentally calling Ronaldo out. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I don't want anyone to think I'm talking shit. I really don't really talk shit about people. I just try to give honest assessments. I try to be intellectually honest as often as I can. And I'm like, I think Ronaldo is going to get mad that when he sees that interview, and I know Flo likes the hype, and they posted the clip of me saying that, and they made it seem like it was a little worse than it was. And I'm like, I think Ronaldo is going to be like looking to kind of kill me a little bit after this. And then I didn't want to sound like a bitch by saying like I was just like I'm backing down and scared of Ronaldo because I beat him the last 3 times I went with him. So that's why I said the little after remark. I'm like, I guess if he wants to lose for a 4th time, he can. Because I just didn't want to seem like a pussy because I know how people on the internet can get. And then it sounded like I was calling him out again. And I'm like,
yeah,
fuck no. Every match I've done with Ronaldo has been hard as fuck. It doesn't matter if I beat him 20-0. I have to like throw up afterwards. Like he's really tough, like someone can be not technical, or I can think they're not technical, and still be a nightmare to go against. So no, I'm not calling Ronaldo out. He might be able to beat me right now. He could have beaten me any of the 3 times I got with him. Even the times I really beat him up bad, the match could have just gone differently. Ronaldo's a fantastic competitor, and I could lose to any of the high level competitors, and I also could beat any of the high level competitors. I'm just not so much into calling people out. If they want me to go against someone, that's okay. Otherwise, I'm not aiming to gun for anyone specifically.
Can you give us a more clickbait style title or quote so I can put that on Instagram? Can you actually call him out?
No.
Yeah, click
need those
title.
clicks,
Angel
man.
Wiltse doesn't talk shit.
No. People are going to start calling you out. I mean, you got to get used to that.
People talk shit about me 100% already. I sometimes I find it online on accident, or I find it I look it up on purpose. And it doesn't really bother me because I know how our gym comes off. Like if you're gonna talk shit about our gym, I get it. Especially if you've never been there, you never met any of us. We can come off a certain way. Our gym definitely looks a certain way, and it's okay. You're just kind of giving knee-jerk reactions without really knowing the subject, and that's not something you should fault people for, because everyone kind of does it a little bit. So no, they can talk shit about me, and people can call me out because I could lose to anyone, and I feel like I can beat a lot of good people, but I also might lose a match to someone I should be able to beat. It's how you roll on that day.
You sort of had a front row seat to the whole Gordon versus Galvao thing last weekend.
Oh, yeah. I was right there. That was amazing. My cheeks hurt from smiling as hard as I did afterward. They were sore. All right, so what actually happened? I know Flow Grappling is trying to clarify this, but after the match with Ronaldo versus Craig, where Craig easily just tapped out Ronaldo, Gordon Ryan went to shake Galvalo's hand, and Galvalo gave him the finger, and then pushed Gordon, and then followed him. So Gordon slapped him, and then Galvalo backed down, so then Gordon slapped him again. Okay, and then Gordon went back to the main area to do his interview afterwards, his second interview. Okay, and then Galvalo followed him talking shit, and that's where the video everyone first saw was Galvalo talking shit to Gordon, and Gordon being like, "Look, motherfucker, I just slapped you twice. If you want to fight, let's fight." Okay, so then Gordon's trying to go forward, and then Galvalo's pretending he wants to go forward while he has Gabby Garcia, hold me back, bro, and that I saw the camera going, and I saw what was going on, and I like ran over there to give my commentary because I'm really on good terms with almost everybody in the world in jiu-jitsu, but the Atos guys fucking blatantly cheat so much, and they're kind of scumbags in person. They're not nice people usually, and they're just They're the only team I'm okay to actually openly talk shit about. When I saw Gordon slap him and then they were going to fight, I went from being a fan of Gordon Ryan's jiu-jitsu to a super fan, because if anyone deserves to be slapped after blatantly cheating and talking shit online, it's Galvalo. So here's another thing people don't know. Galvalo actually gets online on posts, and he talks shit about Jacob Couch when Jacob Couch had a little clip come up on Flow where it was just Jacob Couch talking about doing like a WWE move to someone. He was just joking around. Jacob Couch is 22. He's just kidding. He's not gonna fucking WWE slam your grandma or whatever. And Galvalo got on there and said he started saying kind of racist shit. He's like, you should wear a watermelon around on your head. You're a fucking failure. Couch lost to a guy in the finals that was from Atos of the Pans. Okay, the finals in the gi. Couch doesn't train in the gi at all, hardly. And Galvalo really got on there and started laying into him for no reason. And then it really hurt Couch's feelings. Couch had been a fan of Andre Galvalo's, and he didn't understand why this superstar in the sport was personally attacking him. And Flow Grappling doesn't want to put that in any of the documentaries because Andre Galvalo doesn't really let Flow say bad things about Andre Galvalo. He'll cut Atos off from it, and it's whatever the fuck that is. So I went from being like, okay, your team just kind of obviously blatantly cheats to you're just kind of a scumbag from that, and then it just hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with calling someone a scumbag after everything that you just said. But before we let you go, Andrew, I know that Daisy Fresh Season 2 is coming out in April. Is there anything in particular that we should be excited to see?
Oh man, I never know what they're gonna put on those things, man. Sometimes I hope that I see that they recorded something. I'm like, oh, please cut that out, please.
Is the filming already done from it?
The filming is done, and whatever they have, and I can't do anything to get rid of it. It's going to be exciting. I don't get to see these ahead of time, so when they come out to the world is when I get to see them for the first time. So we'll experience it together, either to our benefit or to my shame.
Well, if anything embarrassing happens, you can always come back on here and you can set the record straight if that's all right.
Oh, the damage will be done if they really get something good, but it is what it is. This is just the cost of being like a public figure, I guess.
Where can people find you, find more information about you? Where should they be following?
You can send me a friend request on Facebook. It's a lot easier for me to know whether to accept it if you have like a jiu-jitsu thing in your picture or something like that. Like if you like those fake accounts, if you have a gi on, I'll automatically accept it. I have an Instagram. It's Andrew Wiltse 46. I post technique videos and rolling videos and tournament stuff. And recently there's going to be a lot of puppy videos on there. I'm sorry. I have a DVD that just came out. It's called Buzzsaw Passing in the Gi. And I spent about 6 hours showing people how to go from addressing grips to getting side control to just really doing dirty shit to people. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and check that out.
Awesome. Well, Andrew, like I said, we appreciate you coming on so much. Obviously with the documentary and how much you've been competing and you've been so successful, it was really cool to talk to you and hear a little bit more about your story and everything that's going on with you right now. So thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks so much, man. I
apologize to Atos for talking shit now. I feel bad now.
Well, I mean, if in an hour or so you want me to cut it out, just let me know. I can always make the cuts for you, but
nah, don't cut it out. Leave it in. It's better ratings for you guys.
Yeah, this is what we'll do. I'll leave it in, but I won't make the thumbnail that you talk shit about Atos. So we'll leave it in, but we won't.
That's where Flow gets me.
I look forward to Mike and I getting beat up by you in a few months.
I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I'd love to have you guys down.
See you, buddy.
Awesome, man. Thanks again.
All right.
Huge thanks to Andrew Wiltse for coming on the show and talking to us tonight. Be sure to go into Flow Grappling and check out Season 1 of Daisy Fresh. I believe there's 5 episodes. And don't forget that in April, the Season 2 is coming out.
You can also follow Andrew on Instagram at andrew.wiltse46, and I'll link to that below. And I will also link below to Mike's social media and my social media. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and make sure that you are subscribed.
Say that was awesome.
That was, in fact, very awesome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.